Well, I was born and raised in Blue Island, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago. Went to, grade school, high school there, and had a pretty normal childhood, I guess. I think I was happy I was a kid then than being a kid now, because I think life was a little more uncomplicated. When I graduated from high school, I was only 16 years old. I had started when I was 5, and I skipped 3rd grade. Well, I thought, I really can't go out and get a job. And a bunch of my school chums had said, well, why don't we join the National Guard? And there's a National Guard unit, 124th Field Artillery, on the south side of Chicago, and we'll join the Guard, and then we know what we'll be in. They're not just going to put us in the infantry or whatever. We figured we're just going to have to serve a year, and then we'd get out and have our year done. Well, that was all fine and dandy, except Pearl Harbor came along.
Well, my Uncle Jack and I have talked about some of his World War II experiences from time to time over the years, and I always thought that he was on a B-29, and he'd always correct me. Finally, I got it right that he was on a B-17 in World War II. And I was talking to some of my pals, Gary Weaver.
Gary Sinise, a venerable actor and director, has been a friend of the DAV since 1994. His performance in the movie Forrest Gump, his character as Lieutenant Dan Taylor, everyone who saw that film reacted in a way that we reacted, saying, my goodness, what a wonderful portrayal, what an honest portrayal of a severely injured, a catastrophically injured veteran who served his country.
Lieutenant Dan. Lieutenant Dan.
Hello, Forrest.
You got new legs. New legs.
Yeah, I got new legs. Custom made. Titanium alloy. It's what they use on the space shuttle.
Magic legs.
And I started talking to Gary over breakfast about our air show program, hoping to entice him perhaps to come to one of the shows and see what goes on, get him interested in the program. He said, Gary, you got a B-25, that's wonderful, but you know anyone who has a B-17 or access to a B-17? And I said, well, as a matter of fact, I do, believe it or not. He looked at me and wondered if I was just kidding with him. And then he went on to say, my Uncle Jack, was a navigator on a B-17 during the war. And he flew 30 missions, survived those 30 missions, obviously. You think it would ever be possible that I could get him a ride on a B-17?
So I told my dad what I was planning to do. Once I knew that Gary could make it happen, we could figure out a date and everything, then I told my dad, I said, Dad, here's what I'm trying to work out for Uncle Jack. And my mom and dad, were shocked and, blown away by that. And I said, but we got to keep it a secret. As I said to Uncle Jack, I said, okay, June 23rd, you're going to Texas. And he just looked at me, and I had told my mom and dad, and he just looked at me, and he goes, well, I'll have to see if I can figure that out and find, I might have something going on. I said, no, you don't have anything going on. You're going to Texas on June 23rd for the weekend, or June 24th. And so I told him that my band was going to play down here, and, I wanted him to come and experience the concert. And, well, we fooled him as long as we could.
The whole world benefited from this extraordinary generation of Uncle Jacks. Their life arc includes overcoming the Great Depression, fighting and winning the biggest, deadliest war in human history, and creating an age of economic prosperity and technological advancement which may never be equaled. Yet, they rarely talk about any of it. To me, he's always been just my Uncle Jack. It wasn't until I became active in veterans' causes that I really started thinking about what he'd done, what he'd been through.
And I think my first mission was into France. And it's like being at a movie. I mean, you're so new to all this, and you know, plane takes off, and you get in your group, and next thing you know, you're going over the English coast, and now you're going over the French coast, and you see a little flak over here, and I'd say for about the first 5 missions, it's just like, well, boy, isn't this something? Nothing's happened to you yet, and you see some planes get shot down, but it doesn't sink in yet. Well, anyway, we went to Leipzig. Now, it always kind of amazed me every time I saw this. As far as you could see in front of you, there were airplanes. As far as you could see back of you, there were airplanes. So we're on the bomb run, and we get hit. The one engine goes out, and with that, we lose a little power, and I'm in the lead ship, and we start to go down a little bit. Well, then the group follows us. So we go to the secondary. They're still following us. And we're trying to maintain altitude, but we just barely got to this airfield, and we dropped our bombs. But now we lost another engine. And about that time, the gas starts streaming out from under the wing, just a big stream. Well, we knew we were in trouble then. Well, so the group, they just keep on flying. They're going back. We're all by ourselves. And we said, well, we'll just keep going. And we'll go back as far as we can. If we have to bail out, or if the plane catches on fire, well, then we'll bail out. So we just kept going and going. We kept going down, down, just slowly. Now we only got about 2.5 engines because the other ones weren't working. And we just kept going and going. And pretty soon we pick up some fighters, a couple of P-38s that looked very nice sitting out here like that. Then we picked up some P-47s, and they'd, pick us up along the way. So that was kind of nice because we're all by ourselves. So we finally get to the coast, but this time we're down about 700 feet. And we didn't know whether we're going to have to ditch or what. So we knew, and we're practically out of gas. So we did land in England at a RAF base. We did get that. We got back that far, and so they came and got us then. But the plane was pretty well shot up.
We told Uncle Jack that we were recording his remembrances for an oral history project. At this point, he was still not aware of the surprise that awaited him.